apple. That wouldn't have been a big deal, wasn't it, that she was asking for a MacBook? She's 10 years old now. She's still asking for an apple. She must be starving. When she comes out of school, she grabs a bag of chippies, turns on the TV, or goes and sits in front of the computer and starts playing a game where she's guaranteed to be a hero. Now, if you think back to your own childhood, what would you have been doing and what would you have been asking for? Chances are you would have been asking for a bike and you would have been outside climbing trees or playing cops and robbers. Back in the days when I came out of school, I would change in a pair of old clothes, grab a peanut butter sandwich, yell out to my mum, who was at home, "I'm outside." And I would disappear into the nearby woods and fields with the kids from the neighborhood. To me, an apple was a piece of fruit you would pick from a tree. And blackberries were those yummy treats that were growing in our backyard. I grew up in a very small village in the southern part of the Netherlands. And I was a tomboy kid. I was always outside. And I was enjoying that experience. My mom would always say, "Go outside and play." How many parents do say that to their children these days? As children, you probably spent a lot of time outside. You would have just had fun for the sake of having fun. You could just be, you could just do. Remember those days when time seemed limitless? People ask me, living in New Zealand, do you get homesick? Yeah, I do get homesick, but not to the home. I get homesick to my childhood. That time when there was no stress, the time when I could play outside until my tummy would tell me it was time to go home. And I miss that time. I really value the experiences I had as a child. I've come to realize that they've been very valuable in my adult journey. Now, if I look at my own children today, or the children in our neighborhood, or in our schools and early childhood settings, I wonder what memories these children are creating. They're spending a lot of time in structured activities or in adult-dominated activities. That spontaneous, self-motivated play is becoming rare. If they're not in a classroom or in an early childhood setting, they're being driven from soccer practice to Spanish lesson, or from ballet class to tennis lesson. And if they're at home, they're sitting in front of a screen looking at images that are moving way faster than they would have been moving in real life. And it's rewiring their brains differently. We really need to start looking at what memories our children are creating. More children are cared for by others these days. In the early childhood settings that they go to, they spend time outside in a setting that's full of rubber matting, plastic toys, steel equipment. And that's the place where these children are making sense of the real world. That's the place where they're making their real relationship with the natural world. What memories are these children creating? One of our youngsters at our preschool was looking at the turtle the other day. We have a pond with a turtle in it. And the turtle was basking in the sun. And he looked very worried and he came up to me and he said, "Anja, the turtle must have run out of batteries. It's not moving." Our children are spending more time in the virtual world than they're spending time in the natural world. They're plugged into electronics and unplugged from nature. Somewhere down the line, we've lost that connection. My daughter came to work with me not long ago, and she said, "Can I go on the internet?" "I don't have internet here." "How can you live here?" "I don't live here." "How can you be here?" This disconnection with nature, what that Richard Louv calls nature deficit disorder in his book Last Child in the Woods, is affecting our children's well-being. We're seeing an increase in childhood obesity, diabetes, and depression. We're now raising a generation that's expected to live shorter than ourselves. We really need to start looking seriously about how our children are spending their childhood. It's not only a lack of experiences in nature, but they're also losing the ability to use that experience and pass it on as knowledge and wisdom to the next generation. The young child in the first 6 years the brain of the young child downloads at a speed of 40 million bits a second, and they download everything. This is a very important time for them to bond with the earth. And to do that, they have to spend lots of time and with it. We are genetically wired to be in nature. My daughter came home on Thursday and she said, "I had an awesome day at school today." The children had been allowed to bring tents to school, and they put the tents up in the middle of the school field. And they played outside all day. We didn't go inside and we didn't do any work, Mom. I had an awesome day. Play is so important to children that they value the day on the amount of play they have. Isn't that awesome? We are biologically designed to play like other mammals. We need play. Children need play to grow their brains. Play is a creative process. It's at the foundation of our happiness, but it's also the foundation of our future. If you look at Evan and some of the videos we've seen and our other speakers, there's some remarkable ideas and designs out there. But in the case of Evan, he's told me that a lot of tinkering happened when he was a little child, when he was a child. So if we don't let our children play today, we won't have the innovators of tomorrow. Remember climbing on a chair and then you jumped off and you thought you could fly? You were convinced you could fly even if it was for a split second? Children want to do what they're born to do. And if we give them the time and space, they will develop according to nature's plan. They need movement to grow their brain. It develops the muscles and the nerves, and it stimulates more innovative thinking, more complex thinking. Full body movement is necessary for these complex thinking. And it's very different from unnatural, limited body movement with a finger going tap, tap, tap on a touchscreen or a mouse. When I was a kid, I used to play with sticks and blankets and boxes and planks. When we had when we had some furniture shipped over from overseas, we ended up with an empty wooden big container box. So we transformed it into a little playhouse. It was really neat. It had a slide coming off, but nobody used it. So we decided we'll move it into the backyard out of the way. But within days, the children took ownership of it, because now they could set their own rules, follow their own design, and be the conductor of their own play. Play is not entertainment. Play is using your creativity and letting your imagination run wild in the wild. We need an educated mind, a sound educated mind, to be a successful adult in later life. But to survive, we also need a heart. We need both to thrive. While it's innovation and curiosity that drives the future technology, it's the bond with the earth and that sense of wonder that will drive our future well-being. Remember running through the paddocks and feeling the wind in your hair, or jumping in a pile of leaves, or I used to catch these little ladybugs and try to put them in a matchbox and they would crawl through your hands. The natural world is full of sights and sounds and smells. And children download these experiences into a file into their brain. They need that for their brain to grow. They store it as multidimensional information in their brain. That's very different from looking at a first-rate documentary, which is just a one-dimensional load into your brain. We need to really come to our senses and let our children play outside so they can connect with their senses, so they can use their imagination and they can build those memories. We had somebody staying the night 2 weekends ago, one of my daughter's friends, and we roasted some marshmallows on a stick above a campfire. This 10-year-old had never ever roasted marshmallows, and the twinkle in her eye was priceless. "This is awesome," she said. It really, literally kindled a flame for her. And ever since we have done a campfire with our children's birthday many, many years ago, they ask for a campfire as birthday party every year. There's something about these childhood moments. Can there ever be enough? Remember the rush you would feel when you were on a swing and you were going a little bit too high because you were trying to touch the clouds with your toes? And you felt like, I'm the master of the universe, because you were up high with the birds. Children need to take risks. Play is about taking risks. We're choking our children in safety, trying to eliminate all this potential risk is like exposing them to the real danger. When a child is playing in the virtual world, they are a hero. It's very easy for them to be a hero. If they don't like it, they just press an escape button and they start all over again. Real life doesn't have an escape button. When I open the envelope of the taxman, I don't have an escape button. And I don't have a restart either. All play involves risk, and learning to assess and manage these risks is part of the value of play. Now, we all have a child within us, and that child is still very much alive. If you look at that child within yourself right now, you probably see yourself learning to skip stones or swinging off a tree. Those are childhood memories. They're very precious childhood memories that will stay with you for life. My mum went through a lot more boxes of plasters than I know of any mother of young children now. But the time that I spent, all those years I spent tromping through the neighborhood, has taught me valuable lessons that I still use today. And I don't need an app. What the greatest joy for me was, or in my childhood, was playing outside in nature. It's taught me courage. It developed my imagination, my creativity. It's given me valuable memories. Our children deserve that same magical childhood that I had and you had, I hope, not so long ago. What is the rush? Let them play. Tomorrow it's Sunday. Take your child outside and go and play, because one day they may well be the next TED talker. Thank you.